Oh boy. 2026? I'm not gonna make a big deal out of this. Because it is less tremendous than you think. Because I simply said I'm gonna keep doing this. I'm gonna keep recording things. And I'm gonna use this as a way to also grow as myself. And force myself to go into nature again. Because I seem to be here as somebody to show things. I have done my homework. I know where I am. Because this is discovering nature. You know, I know where I am. I can see where I am. I have experienced where I am. And I know roughly what kind of animals I could encounter here. And now I am, for my part, just trying to discover. I am clearly looking for mushrooms. I have collected one that I also ate, just a normal eating mushroom. But I'm also clearly looking for, and that is my own personal thing, that I will never advise anyone to do, but it is a form of shamanism, and here I am, a fly agaric. And they are used for shamanic travels. And they are also clearly being eaten by other animals or beings. And here I see one that I find so yeah. Okay, there are also, here are more. You know, it's not just about having to take them. It's just what I do. You can also just marvel at them. Because... And then there's another one, but I don't know what that is. I don't think it's... Because I don't have a lot of knowledge. I go by feeling. And I do think this one, the one I just took out, I think you could probably eat it. But it's hard to say. Plus, this is my way of connecting with nature in my own way. Yeah, flies do put their offspring into here. So you have to check that they're actually good and not rotten. Okay. Discovering nature. Well, that's a tricky one. But it actually isn't. Okay, these are too old. Or are they? I have filmed myself doing this already. I think if I... There's already a hole in it. Okay, I'm just gonna leave this here. I think you can tell with experience what is a good experience for you to make. Wow, there's a lot of them here. But like I said, a lot. Question: Where are we going? Okay, now I have to find my mission. I have to look at where I'm going. Because otherwise I will lose myself in the undergrowth. You see, this is not. These are better. Yeah. I think that's all I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna discover nature. Because I'm going into nature out of my own free will. And that's what you have to do. You know, I have no interest to convince you of this. Snakes. Slugs eat these. And I don't know what else. When I take these home, I will brush off the debris, then I will separate the cap from the stem, and then I will dry it on my heater. Okay, this one I will leave. So you just have to trust your feeling on this. Plus you have to know how to work with such things. Because I have had scary visions. Because now you have to understand what fly agaric does. And what it does not do, perhaps. Well, what it does not do is give you like a free pass. I mean, maybe in the times of okay, if there's slime forming, I'd rather leave it. Because that seems to be okay, this seems to be a good area for these. Plus it has been raining a lot and today it all opened up. Now, one thing you have to know about discovering nature is that if you're a bit like me and you struggle to do this because a part of you doesn't know, doesn't see the purpose, then you'll need a bit of convincing on your own part. Like, you have to figure this out. You have to start going into nature, and then you have to become your own research subject. Which means nobody will come and tell you you have to do this. You have to say, wait a second, you know, there's this large thing in the world today, you know, that we call nature, that others have called Gaia, that others have called so and so. Now there's this large thing in nature that we call nature, and I have no idea what to do in it. Like, I stick to the city, and the city is nice and it's big and it's, you know, grand and, you know, noisy and polluted and all the words that we have for it. But in the end, the city is like also nature, but it's a different form of nature. It's a because we are beings of nature, however much we like to act like we're not, we're still doing everything nature does. You know, nature consumes, but also nature creates. I mean, we seem to have some kind of a symbiotic relationship, you know, with nature. We are, you know, we eat the food, and even though we produce food ourselves, you know, still everything comes from nature. Our bodies come from nature, you know, everything comes from nature. However alienated we may feel, we come from nature. Every material comes from nature. And then nature is just a word. So your path back into nature is basically discovering this. Becoming who you remember you might have been when this was normal. And it still isn't normal for me. It's just becoming more normal, right? I want to remember. And that's the point I have made. In all my dwellings on psychedelics, that there is a magnificent, a significant difference, right? For anyone who's like a science lover, you know, it's a significant difference, right? P is smaller than, you know, 0.5. So there seems to be a correlation between you know, wanting to remember and remembering. And there seems to be a correlation between, you know, trying to forget and then simply, you know, to keep on forgetting. So the difference is that if I have, and coffee is a psychedelic substance, I have said that already, and so is sugar, and so are you, and so is everything. It's just that we are living in a world of separation. We're living in a world of, or some people are, living in a world of, now it's getting complicated. Plus I have to check where I'm going. So we're living in a world of separation. People want to separate themselves from things, such as the responsibility to maybe assist their parents, you know, when they're getting old. Because believe it or not, you know, parents have a hard time too. You know, parents are having a hard time remembering. And this is why you have to remind them this is life, so that they actually want to stick around. But many children, they just become super selfish and they just leave and then just only do their own thing. And then they go to the cities, but life itself just stops being something to worship. I mean, that's what I'm trying. I mean, try worshiping life. Try worshiping, remembering. You know, that is what other cultures, like you look at the movie Coco, you know, remember your ancestors. I mean, you can never remember all of them, you know, but you can remember a large part of them. And I felt like I was being reminded to remember. You know, it's not like I said, you know, I really want to remember. It was just I was being reminded to remember because I knew there was something that I was missing. I felt like something was getting out of hand. And so now my words are getting out of hand because now I want to get into, I mean, this is not supposed to be a Mad Hatter talk. Well, that's just the way I am, you know. I like to let my mind wander, but I'm also learning now to be more contained. You know, to just keep it within. Now the question is, you want to discover nature. Now you are in nature. However you got there, what do? You smell, you sniff, you start looking for tracks, this is basically what they did in Avatar, only now you have to do it yourself, right? This is an area I could be going into because I have never walked there. I am not sure if this is even wanted that I walk there. I have crossed many fences in my time. I even often went to areas where they shoot deer as a warning for the deer. Because despite of what they're saying, you know, their only interest is in the woods, in the trees, because they make money with that. So nowadays, discovering nature, I'm just walking the trail where I will be most unlikely to meet anyone else. Because I am becoming more and more distant with certain human beings. Because I simply chose to lead another kind of life, a different kind of life. A life where you spend time, you know, with real things. You know, like the grass on my feet, that's a real thing. And now I have never walked here, but to me it looks beautiful. Now, I have been connected to nature and I wanted it, and I found myself weak, insecure, which is of course a sign of weakness. It's your wiggliness, it's your wobbliness. And so now what I had to do was I had to start moving. And one thing was simply pushing through. Sometimes you go for a hike, it's 5 hours, it's 10 hours, you know, maybe it's 2 hours. Time's relative. You know, if the energy shifts and suddenly it's heavy, you know, it was easy now, and suddenly it's heavy. What do? Well, you push on through. Because first of all, I assume that you are probably somewhere like this. I don't know where you are. It's hard to imagine, you know, okay, if you were now in, how did I do it in Africa? I have been in Africa, and even in Africa, you kind of know, you know, when the animals hunt, what kind of animals you may have to deal with. Okay, there's people walking. I think I know at least roughly where that's gonna get me. I don't have a tight schedule. I just knew I would do a video on discovering nature. So when you go out to discover. You know, at first you may want to bring a camera. It depends on you. Do you want to share it? You know, a camera is something that gives you something to do, but it is not necessary. You can go without a camera. You can just keep it to yourself. I mean, if you wanted to build yourself a different life where you have more time, then you may take your free time and then go into nature and then make experiences, and then later you can write a book from that. Or later you can make music about it. You know, that's the kind of stuff. So ultimately, it is always going to be your choice how you spend the rest of your life. But if you can make a few small changes and you realize that you're getting stronger and more resilient to corruption, like the amount of effort it took me to leave the house, just my place of channeling, it's incredible. But I left it nonetheless because I realized I simply have to go out into nature. Now it's simply the times that you have to do certain things to free yourself from the city environment. You have to work with everything that keeps you there and that keeps you from wanting to leave. Now, I like to do these things stepwise. And I don't know where you start. Maybe you've never been in nature. Well, welcome to the suck. Because as nice as you think it is, it's just going to be a challenge. You're weak and you have to make an effort to be strong. No. Thought I know where I am, but I have no idea. But there is something, and all I can do is try to figure it out. Right, so this is discovering nature. You, possibly alone, walking around looking for things. Now you can look for animals, but you can also just have a hike and push through. You can see how far you can walk, and then you just walk. Now I don't know if somebody's gonna come and tell me that I cannot walk here because it's their property. Well, there was no sign. So in the end, you were just ignorant. And if you're ignorant, you know, once they told you, from that moment, okay, next time I'll know. But for now, I feel like, you know, I can just say, hey, I didn't know. So I'll just keep walking, despite the uneasiness. I know what is up there, to be honest. So I can actually do the following. Because I don't know where this leads, but I know where this will get me. And now I've got my challenge. I'm barefoot. And I'm simply... But this may bring me pain. But I know by now how to, you know, step. It's getting better. It's getting easier. But only because I keep going back into nature. You know, nature toughens you up, which is what you need. But you have to keep going. This is treatment for the soul. And you cannot force others. So I am still also, I still have this whiny side. But I simply look for challenges. So this is me choosing to show people how they could. This is balancing. This is a balancing act. So you see, you step here, because the challenge is also not to fall. And in the beginning, this is really hard. So this is me staying away from parks. This is me staying away from, you know, people that party. This is me seeing life as a challenge and pushing through on my own. This is me, you know, discovering nature. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah. But this is also taking the edge off. Because I know I can do this with a smile. Now, I wouldn't want to come here with someone that's like moping around. That's just the dignity you owe to yourself. I mean, you just have to pick yourself up from the ground and then push through. And I mean, I have shown you already the no slack, no line. But this is what I really like doing, because sure, no slack, no line, that's a good workout. But it's also nicer if these obstacles are somewhere in the way. But at the end of the day, what's it matter? You just find yourself some nice obstacles and then you just work with them, because that's the life that we are facing today. You know, it's like it's missing something. And that's what we're out here looking for. You know, the actual life. You know, what have we been missing? And I keep trying to tell people that they should just go look for it. But a lot of people are simply afraid, or they lack something. Maybe they lack the wish to proceed or the courage. I mean, I have made jumps that almost seemed impossible, but that turned out to be manageable because of the hardening I have already gone through. This is, you know, to stop looking for war and confront the war within yourself. And this is then whatever you want to discover. So now the hard part is to distance myself enough from the fact that there's a camera here, yeah? And to simply be in the moment and perceive, you know, the fine glitter of the cobwebs. And then at the same time, to make sure that I do not step into, you know, thorns. Because I don't want to, you know, I'm not just looking for pain. I'm looking for liberation. So this takes time, you know. Plus, you're never quite sure what is going to happen. You could step into something really painful. Okay, now then there's often the, do I go here? I think I want to go there. Oh wow, but there's a lot of, like, I see it already. It's like the brambles, spiky stuff. Okay, now sometimes you just find yourself in some kind of like a tight spot. And this is exhausting. This is another form of workout. And now imagine you'd be in the Amazonian rainforest. It's a whole different thing, because I can hardly be bitten by anything that would kill me here, or so I believe. So it's hard to imagine myself just going for a barefoot stroll. So this is timelessness in a way. Because if I wouldn't have the camera now, but even with the camera, I focus on this, on my heart connection. And this is how I make choices, where to walk, left or right. But it's slowing you down tremendously. And it's training all the right muscles. This is lower back workout. This is everything. And this is what you must do out of your own free will. And this is not the same when you're wearing shoes, right? Unfortunately. Okay, now you see this. I don't know how other animals, because I do partly consider myself simply as an animal. I don't know how they do this. Well, I don't have hoofs. And my feet are still soft. So now there I see wood. But now I don't want to fall backwards. But I have done a lot of hardening. I'm just going to repeat that to you, to remind you that this is normal for indigenous people. this is what they do all the time. This is why, you know, yoga is probably something that simply developed because people started to have more time. I mean, normally you'd just be living your life. Oh wow, that's the path. So now I'm standing on one leg. I'm just saying, this is not easy. I have fallen many times. You see, I can take my time because my right side I trusted. I've done a lot of training, a lot of barefoot hiking, a lot of no slack, no line. And now I can take my time, support myself with my left foot because my left foot is strong and tough. And then I can grab myself here. And then I can go. And then I can be here and look at the path. This is the path, my friend. This is a path of hardship, you know, of unfulfilled desires. You know, you want to make love to a woman like a real man. Well, harden yourself, my friend, because that's what she needs. She needs you to be hard as rock. Yeah. And when you know you've done your hardening, I'm hanging like this. But it's okay because I've done my hardening. You know, I've carried insane weights with my hands. I'm holding planks. You know, I'm working with my hands. You know, I use as little electronics for labor as I can. Yeah. Okay, this is the modern day man challenge. Go out there and then figure your way through. Because this is my way. Maybe you're different. Maybe your feet are not sensitive at all. You know, I am very sensitive. Maybe you are, you know, 2 meters tall. Maybe you're more like a bulldozer. Well, you know, show it to me in bare feet. Show me how strong you are. By using as little gimmicks as you can. This is leaving the house without a phone. This is leaving the house without any security. You know, the only way to get back is by walking. You know, there's no hitchhiking. This is the Hobbit style. You know, there and back. On your own 2 feet. No horses. Wow. Okay, I have done these things before already. And this is, of course, what gives me my freedom of speech, because I know that this is me, that this is the truth, right? That there is weakness. Okay, standing on one leg, this is basically yoga. You know, this is part of it. Part of my yoga, simply learning from nature to stand tall like a tree and then make discoveries. But sure, this can really easily turn into a drag because now I'm in here and I want to get out of it. And then I get, wow, gentle. And then I get tense, and then I get miserable. And then I lose my cool. But this is survival. Snail. And you may discover nice things if you pay attention. And you can learn from snails. I mean, there's thorns in my feet now. But if I waste too much time taking them out, I feel like I want to get there. But maybe it just seems easier. Yeah, there's thorns in my feet. Okay, this looks like sometimes you just step lightly. See if it supports your weight. Okay, that hurts. Okay, there is a bit of a hard spot. Now I have to get over there. Okay. Okay, that went deeper. I didn't expect that. So this is the path of the warrior. You have to look for strength in unlikely places. And this is also just getting used to the buzz. You know, this is going to open your channels. This is going to send you through. This is going to push your buttons so that you don't push the buttons of your wife and your child. You know, except for in a loving, mature, I'm gonna hold you, I'm gonna support you, you know, I'm gonna be your barrier so that, you know, I can hold you and then we can move on. There's clearly deer activity here. It's always when you see this, like, or that's how it looks like to me. So, like I said, I don't know where you are, but this seems like deer activity. Now, of course, where are wolves? Where are lynx? One has to pay attention. And then which of these plants are edible? Which roots have healing properties? You know, they will talk to you if you open your mind to the language of nature. You see? I mean, this is acupuncture and acupressure. This is the massage you pay for, you know? And nature is just giving it to you for free. I mean, not entirely, because you have to invest time. You have to spend time. And there's always the point where you realize, okay, I think I'm going to turn this off and then just be on my merry way. Because I know up there, because I have collected mountain ash berries. And now I'm just going to continue with this hike. It's going to be around 2 hours in total. But yeah, I have walked this already. You see, I no longer want to be the center of attention in this show. I am already. But I try to just tease you a little. To find your way back into nature. And that means you have to scout the area where you live. Okay, maybe you're really far away. Well, take a bus, take a train, invest a weekend, and then look for other places. I mean, if you have a job and you have a car, then you can move. You can change your apartment to a more natural and more rural area, and from there you start building. You know, you start fermenting your own vegetables and you prepare yourself for a time when you may let go of the city environment and then simply start your own commune. I mean, I'm talking from the perspective of somebody who chose to be a content creator because he wanted to invest his time into something that he can show to people, you know, that actually brings them the healing that they say they want. But nobody is willing to go the extra mile. I mean, this is like the Moses story. You're looking for the promised land. You're trying to simply move on. You want to find a place where you can feel in peace, where you can, you know, let go of all this warmongering that these states are doing, where you can let go of all this, you know, like worshipping fear and terror. No, you want to embrace the moment. You want to let go. You want to feel safe. You want to know, you know, where you are. And you want to be with people who are true and who are, in a way, selfless. For if everyone is a bit selfless in a commune, then you will never sleep with my wife. Because, you know, she's my wife. And you'll have yours. And if you have no wife, then you have to go looking for one. Well, maybe then you have to travel to a distant tribe. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. This... Wow. Sometimes you really have to push through. Because in my mind, I was still looking for fly agaric. Now look at this. Now look at this. Okay, they're not all for harvesting. But look at this big one. This is no child's play. This is mature stuff. I'm just saying. Now, is this a bad sign? There's like a plastic garbage thing. Well, that's hard to say. This is no child's play. This is not NSYNC. This is something else. This is like, I don't know who. Somebody else. The Barbarian Lunatic. So, you don't have to do anything if you feel like it is not you. If it is you, then stay safe. And figure out your way. You know? Find your safe places. Find your safe... These are safe places for me. Because I have figured out there are almost no people in nature. They all stick to the paths. I like to leave the path and then make my own experiences. That's what I have started to do. Down there is a path, up there is a path, but here is no one. And it's very unlikely that I'll find anyone here. You know, so you have to find yourself some rural, quiet area that you can frequently access and then get to know the nature. So this is half an hour walking from where I live, and that's an effort. I have to find the time, I have to take the time, I have to come here and actively choose to be in nature and do this. So I look for visions, I look for missions, I look for something that I can do and then I do it. Now the mission was, you know, record yourself reading Peter Pan and look for fly agaric. There may be other days where you just look for interesting leaf shapes. You know, I'm still trying to figure out how to motivate myself to leave the house. Looking for interesting leaf shapes, looking for faces in trees, right? Listening to the wind, you know, just going out simply because you feel like going out. I do like nice weather, but I have gone out in the rain, also without rain protection. And then you just have to push through. This is the warrior's journey. And this is then what I have talked about in mentality of a warrior. Just push through, see where you are. If everything still feels kind of like the wastelands, where spiritually it's just empty, you have to keep pushing. You have to keep pushing your boundaries. To me, what fly agaric do, well, do they do something with time? It's hard to say. It's something with traveling inside your mind. But it's no child's play. You have to keep your shit together. Right? You remember You know, Survival Diary 101, something like this. So you can start a diary where you simply start recording what you have been doing. This is my diary, and my podcast is my diary. This is just one of the things you can do today, you know? If there were no cameras and all that stuff, I'd probably just be writing books. Okay? And that's all I had to say. This is discovering nature the way I started. I'm insecure, start small, you know? Start hiking barefoot, make your own experiences, you know, don't overdo it. This is also supposed to be nice in a way. You want to be in nature, you want to love nature, so you first have to do your hardening. You can only harden yourself if you start spending time away from the path and simply look. Yeah? And then find your way back. I know where I am. I have a good orientation. I've trained it. Check out my podcast. There is an episode about intuition. One of the first episodes. I never knew I was alone talks about being alone. Mentality of a warrior talks about pushing through. You just have to see where you are and then know where you want to be. So I push myself, but I also push myself to be strong for the people that I came to appreciate to a certain degree. But in the end, I see myself with a woman and children, and I want to be my own man. I don't want to be an owned man. I want to be my own man. And that's really hard. That means overcoming trauma. The best way to overcome trauma is to do this. To just get stronger and stronger and stronger and work out any weaknesses that you feel. And this is gonna keep the energy pumping. My feet were really cold, now they're warm. This is what you needed. This is what I needed. This is what has to happen, at least from my own perspective. And any woman that would like to live with me would have to adapt to my way of life, because that's what I have decreed and chosen. And that can never be compromised, because it is what keeps me alive. This mentality is what keeps me alive. So yeah, buckle up, you know, and do a stepwise transition. Cheerio.